Hi, thank you so much for showing us your art and telling us all about your process. When you look at these images, you see so much movement. I imagine sound, smells. Have you thought about animating these pictures? Please say yes.
Yeah. What's that? Yeah, we have done some animation work. I have on my own. I actually studied animation before we met. But we've done this one project called Starship Ahupua'a, which was actually a coding game through Scratch. I don't know if any of you know the medium Scratch. It's a coding software that's free software developed by open source by MIT. And we created a curriculum along with a partner of ours from Twiddle Productions. It was such a cool concept. And it was the idea of like an Ahupua'a system that starts from Makai regions, but also goes all the way up into space. So extending that like last part of Mauka to Leva, which is like the heavens. There was some animation in that. I think now animation is getting so much easier to take on. I really do see that in the future as being a part of our work. Even in the digital tools that we work with, like if we're on Procreate or Fresco or one of those digital mediums, it's super easy to, go ahead. Oh, it's super easy to animate frame by frame. You want to say something?
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, I think with NFTs too, has been kind of a way that people animate where it can be shorter and not necessarily like a long TV show or a video game. But if anybody has any suggestions of how they would like to see us animate it, if it's a show or a particular image, let us know. There's definitely potential. I think next for us is when we talk about technology, like what do you accept and what do you want to move forward with. I know AI is a thing, right? That people could probably talk about all day. I said it, but yeah, we're actually going back the other way. Where our next project that we really want to focus on, but we've said this for maybe the last 15 years, is a children's book. So going back to we just have always loved books. So we love art books. That's the thing that makes us. We'll never be minimalists because we have so many books. A lot of which are children's books. We get really inspired by the whimsy and playfulness and storytelling and character development, colors, all the things about children's books. So that's something we really are hoping to take some time to figure out and do. But maybe we can animate that children's book.
So there's like a clear. I'm over here. Sorry. There's like a clear your connection to this land is like so inherent in your work, and I love that. And I just wanted to hear more. I'm super curious about just how that connection and that in your heritage like informs your work, and then how you work as a creative in Hawaii and outside of Hawaii and all of that. I'd love to. I'm super curious.
Thank you. That's a great question. Yes, our experiences, cultural and otherwise, are always woven into our work, and that goes, I think, for everyone. I think because of the nature of the sustainability in the treehouse, there is a little bit of a component where we're celebrating the idea of ahupua'a. We love ideas of permaculture. We love food sustainability initiatives. I think that's just something that we find joy in those kind of concepts, and so we try and incorporate them. Roxy, can you maybe help me out?
Yeah, I think being in Hawaii too, like so many of us are multi-ethnic, and so we're able to draw on different parts of that, and really, especially now that we have a kid, is realizing what makes each of our own ethnicities and other people's ethnicities really unique and important. And so we're trying to teach our kids, like, what are the foods that come from our culture? And like, it's been really cool for us because we grew up with certain traditions, but we also are kind of bummed that our parents didn't know or didn't educate us on other parts of our culture. And it wasn't as easy for them either because they didn't have the internet back then when we were kids. But now we do. And I think there's been this whole revitalization of celebrating culture too. And so we get really excited to kind of dive deep into like these recipes that we find, or just supporting local businesses, like going to Chinatown and taking our kids to Chinatown because we're both Chinese. And you know, getting to figure out what we want to incorporate into our life and start these new traditions. And in art, like how can we express those things as well? And so one of the sketches that we have yet to make into a print or a mural, but it's on the list, is a dragon treehouse to celebrate our Chinese culture. Because I think we know, right, when our culture is shown on the big screen or seen in art through music or TV or you know, anything like that, it really sparks something in us. Like we see ourselves in that, and we haven't done something that celebrates our Chinese culture. And we've done it for Hawaiian culture, which Matt is Native Hawaiian, but we haven't done it so much for Chinese culture, or Matt's also Mexican, so we're gonna try and get in there too. Yeah. But it's definitely top of mind for us. Like we do think about how we don't want to dismiss art, because I think as being a creative, sometimes like the world is so heavy and there's all these problems out there, and I know I can get really weighed down by the news and he tries to pull me back, like, don't read the news. But it's hard, and when you're a creative, you can sometimes feel like your work is frivolous, you know, like, what am I doing to help? There's so much going on. But joy is really important, and laughter is really important, and connection, like us being in this room, all the work that these people have done to bring us all together, like it's all work, you know, and it's meaningful work. Because how can we get through all those heavy things if we don't have art to bring us joy, if we don't have that connection, person to person, like not through a screen, but seeing each other eye to eye, you know? Oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry. Okay, take the mic.
Keep going.
Yeah, but anyways, that's what gets us through, right? So sometimes when we're doing this work, like we really try to up the joy and the fun factor. Like, let's kick it up as high as we can, make it as fun as we can, because we want to bring that joy and that connection. So thank you for letting us have a chance to share that with you.
That was excellent, you guys. Your work is really visionary from my perspective.
Thank you.
It just takes us, you know, out into what's possible. Have you guys ever entertained the thought of actually realizing your designs in architecture, or things like toys, you know, putting together? Because I would think kids would love taking your tree houses apart and putting them back together. So thanks.
We have had that question quite a bit. It kind of comes down to, like, again, the boring kind of stuff is like logistics. Because for a toy, it's easiest if it's a simple shape, because it's like in a mold or that kind of thing. So because the recognizable part, like the Wooden Wave brand, is that, you know, like, okay, I got to a Wooden Wave piece. I'm going to have to, like, take some time and look at all the details. Like, what did they throw in here? Like, okay, there's the skate ramp. Okay, there's the green. You know, there's just so many little things that if we made it, we could, but we'd have, like, the retail end of it was, I don't know, we'd have to sell it for like $500 or something like that. Yeah, so it's kind of that. Like, it's just the mundane details. That's why we haven't done one. And then also the part of it, too, that we have to wrestle with, and that's the accept or let go of, what kind of projects we take on, is we do think about the sustainability aspect. So if we were to do a toy, ideally it would be made out of, like, wood or some kind of sustainable material, versus what's easier is to do, like, mold and injected plastic, you know? And we kind of don't want to do plastic, but, you know, maybe there's ways to do it, or that's something that we just let go of, like, for the purposes of this, priority being joy and, like, interaction, and how this could, you know, share, like, just have a toy that just isn't, like, I don't know, about fighting or something. I don't know, like a more positive toy out there, and that being the priority, then it could work. But yeah, thank you. I think there are people who've definitely asked us how we're going to do this in real life, and that's also accepting our limitations. Like, there's only so much we could do as a builder, where then we would partner with someone else who that's their thing, is building things. You know, like Treehouse Masters, that would be the dream collab, where it's like, we will design it, and then they will build it and make it even more awesome, because they're super playful and have, like, trapdoors and things, and, you know. So I think that's where we like to collaborate with people, where we can bring our strength, which is the designing and conceptual part, and then they can bring their strength, and then you build something that you wouldn't even have imagined, right? Like it's even cooler. So we kind of let go of the idea that we will be the ones to technically build the physical object. We just want to partner with someone who, that's their jam, and then we'll jam together and make it cool.
I want to see a wooden wave Lego set.
Yeah.
Then they have to build it.
They have to build it, yeah.
Yo, time for
That
one more
could
question.
be a thing. Yeah, the kids will build it. Give Legos to them. They're awesome.
Hi, Matt and Roxy.
Hi.
So with the theme of acceptance, I love that story of your son that he like painted red and then you like made that into a positive. But as someone who like is hired by corporations, I'm sure a lot of people in here, they hire the creative for like, oh, we love your vision, we love what you do. You present something to them and they're like, too much, or like, oh, a little bit outside of the lines. So did Ward like freak out, or like, did you sell it to them? Like, how was that?
I don't even know if they know it's there. Yeah, I think because it got put into that rectangle, and then it's like, I think especially when you've worked for clients, you kind of know where the line is of like acceptable or not acceptable, So I knew that like, if it's this red thing that our kid did, they'd be like, okay, you guys need to paint that up, But if you make it cute, you make it into this, the red rectangle. You can't see it in the photo there, I don't think. Yeah, you can kind of see that there's turquoise around it, and then the lines, I drew different colored lines around the border too. So it was purposeful, like if you have that sense of intention, then it seems official. Spill shark. So when we spill paint in a public place, a lot of times you can't really clean it up without the color being there. So we just turned it into a fun shape. So spill shark was maybe our first time that we did that. We have spill pufferfish.
So they just turn them into really cool sharks and fish, and then it looks like part of the composite. And people are like, "Wow, it's awesome!" They continue the mural. Yeah.
Totally meant to do that. So yeah, that is a tricky part. But I'll also say something about letting go is because we do a lot of client work that you'll never see on our Instagram. We do a lot of like in-house things, and we just recently had a job, and we just had to let go of expectations on it. So that's the thing about when you get disappointed when expectation doesn't meet reality, right? And so that's something that we really talk about a lot of the time is we'll get to a point in a project where there's maybe a lot of cooks in the kitchen where it's corporate and they have to get approvals by this side and then that side, and then you're just like, we're not even in the kitchen anymore. Like we're out in the living room waiting to see what comes out, and so that's when you just have to let go. And like just the other day, we're like, oh, I wonder how that project's doing. Like we sent an email, right? Like we didn't like an answer, we didn't leave one open, right? And it's just because, and they're like, oh, no, we sent the last email checking in. And it's like, okay, we're good. And it's just like you let go of the emotional attachment to it. Like you've done your part in it. And then the powers that be are going to kind of decide what's next. So not everything is so involved. Like what we showed today is our personal work. But we do a lot of client work that you wouldn't be able to look at and see like, oh, that's a wooden wave piece. Yeah. So yeah, emotionally detaching from expectation.
No, that's pretty much it, I think. I think you nailed it.
Yeah.
What else? I think we kind of covered that process and not. Okay.
Like this is, I think, a question we get asked a lot too. Is like, your work is so fun. You guys must love every moment of it, and that's totally not the truth. And I think it helps to hear that because if you do work that's, especially when you're working like a 9-to-5 or something, it's not that you like love every minute of your work. When you're a creative full-time, most of your work isn't the actual painting either. It's answering emails and creating invoices and just outlining a timeline or that kind of thing, And even the painting part, we've just become comfortable with the uncomfortable too, which is even from college, I already knew or had to come to terms with that I actually don't like the middle 60% of pretty much any project. I just don't. It's like the slugging. Like, he really like dives into the details, and I feel like enjoys it more than I do. I like the idea phase, like, oh, we're gonna do this project, and we're gonna make this thing, and we're gonna put a slide here and a swing there, and da 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 da, you know. And then once that part's over, and we actually have to do the thing, I don't even like that part. I'm the dreamer. Yeah. I'm on to the next thing. Okay, what are we gonna do next? And it's like, yeah, no, but if I am just like dragging my feet, like, oh, we still have like 5 days or like 3 days on this mural out of 6. Like, we're just in the middle of it. I'm just like, day 3, I'm like, oh, I'm so over this project already.
You're macro.
Yeah, I like the big picture.
I'm always like very hyper-focused, and so that's why we balance each other
Yeah.
out. So you can kind of see like, oh, there's all these other projects we need to balance.
But that's like the messy middle of a project.
Yeah.
But I'm just like comfortable with that part, and I just know if I'm staring at a painting and I still don't like it, that just means I'm not done yet. So I just have to get to that point where I start liking it again. Be like, okay, I see where this is going. Like, we've got maybe another week left on this painting commission. Like, we're getting there. Okay, we're good. And then I get excited again, and then I get to like dive in on like adding the little highlights and touches, and like, oh, I love this painting. This was a great project, you know. So I think just to like not accept that romanticized thing, like being an artist is so beautiful and amazing, and you just like love what you do and all that stuff. Like, we are so grateful, and we do love our jobs and wake up every day just amazed that we get to do this. But it's not like we're, you know, rainbows and unicorns all day long or anything like that. So yeah, so thank you.
All right, let's hear it again for Matt and Roxy. Thanks, guys.